India's economy will contract by a huge 10.3% this year because of the COVID pandemic. That's the forecast from the International Monetary Fund. The biggest slump of any major emerging nation, the worst since independence. Now, the IMF's previous prediction, which had said output would shrink by 4.5%, this was in June, has now been revised further downwards. India, Spain and Italy will all undergo double-digit economic decline this year, predicts the IMF. Madan Sabnavis, the fact that the IMF is painting such a gloomy picture of the Indian economy, a contraction of 10.3%, we're talking about the worst performance since independence and also the biggest contraction of any emerging economy. Your thoughts and the fact that this is a downward revision of what the IMF itself had said in June?
Well, in fact, I think most of the economists who have made projections have been doing a downward revision, because I think there was always a caveat attached that there would be a downward bias, especially because of the severe lockdown process which we had and a very gradual way in which we have gone in for unlock. I think that's the basic crux to it, that we have had an unlock. It's come with a number of localized lockdowns accompanying them. So we've never really had a very free economy for until now. So I think that's one of the reasons as to why there has been this sharp decline in terms of the forecast. In fact, quite interestingly, I think the Reserve Bank of India had given its estimate of minus 9.5% on Friday. And we felt that the RBI was being a bit too bearish on India's growth, because we had care ratings that actually took an estimate of around minus 8.2% with a downward bias. But now that we're looking at the IMF, I think what is really significant is that compared to the other countries, as you have mentioned, I think India is probably one of the worst performers. And I think it all goes down to the way in which we have not been able to manage this lock and unlock process. And even today, we're grappling with it with a number of sectors still under the lockdown. And I think what we're really going to see is a very dismissive performance even in Q2 and Q3. But I think a positive thing, which probably the IMF does not track, is that we are seeing that there is an improvement in terms of the negativity in terms of month-on-month basis. And therefore, in the second quarter, while we are expecting a negative growth rate, it will definitely not be anywhere close to the minus 24% we saw. It's more likely to be closer towards minus 10%. And then there would be an improvement in Q3 and maybe a marginal positive growth in Q4. So I think if you look at it that way, there's of course a lot of hope that I think the government has opened up in a very calibrated manner, given the fact that we have been one of the most affected countries in terms of the spread of the virus.